speaking here at City Hall, I can take that off, and I will, if I have other people enter the room, I will be wearing my mask, as I hope other people are whenever they are with groups of people. Let the record show that the old City Council is all present and accounted for, and that the new City Council members are here also, and that they will be beginning in just a moment or two. For the old council, you have the minutes of our last meeting, December 22nd, in your packet, and do they meet with your approval?
I move to approve minutes.
Second.
Councilor Hicks to move, Councilor Martin Willis second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Hearing no opposition, the motion carries. So with this is the official changeover portion for our where I get to welcome our brand new councilors, Councilor Roden and Councilor Job, and they were sworn in along with Councilor Martin Willis and myself a little bit earlier in the day. And I just want to offer a heartfelt welcome to our new councilors, and also a welcome to our continuing councilors. You know, as we move forward during this COVID time, you know, we're all working to help keep our community safe, help our businesses move forward. But this is also an exciting year, and Independence is going to be able to do something that it's always done, which is look forward and keep moving. We begin this year, besides doing the regular day-to-day things of the city, we begin to work on implementing the 2040 plan, which more than 2,000 people in our community participated in, and the council approved the plan. And so we get to start working on priorities in the coming months. So that's a very exciting thing that that we have to look forward to. And yes, I'm optimistic because I live in the United States, because I live in Independence, and I live in Oregon, where, you know, it may be raining now, but it's not going to be raining forever. The sun's going to shine and good things are going to happen. So our watchword is optimism, and we will keep moving forward. And I want to, that's my short message for the beginning. But before we continue moving forward, I think it's important that we recognize and express appreciation for those that have helped us get there. Council members, in your packet, you have two resolutions that I'd like you to take. The first resolution is recognizing and expressing appreciation on behalf of the City of Independence for the work that Councilor Hicks has put in on his time with us. And this is an action item, and I would hope that someone would make a motion, and then we can have any discussion people wish.
I would love to make a motion on this. I move to approve Resolution 21-1545, honoring Michael Hicks for his service to the City Council.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
And the second was Councilor Kaur. Thank you very much. That's a motion and a second. Is there discussion? Councilor Roden?
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you to Councilor Hicks, his graciousness in reaching out to me after the campaign, just showing me that he'll always be there to help me, and he's just a good man, and I just really appreciate him making that offer and just showing that kind of civility and kindness.
Thank you so much. And I'd like to offer, it's been a pleasure to work with you on the council and to get to know you and your family, and good luck in moving forward with everything. Is there, you were trying to say something?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's been an honor. Thanks.
Great. Is there additional discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And is there any opposition? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you very much. I'd like us to move to the next resolution, recognizing Councilor Ransom Smith for her work. If I could have a motion, please.
I'd like to make a motion to pass Resolution 21-1546, honoring Jennifer Ransom Smith's service to the council. It's been an enormous pleasure to work with her.
Thank you. That's a motion and a second by Councilor Martin Willis. Is there discussion? I would like to take a moment and just say thank you for work, for working hard. There is people don't understand how much work there is to do in studying, preparing, and to move our community forward. Thank you for what you've done. We all appreciate it, and best wishes as you move forward in your life also.
Thank you, Mayor.
Further discussion? I hear no further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? I hear no opposition. Motion carries. Thank you very much. And just to let folks know, there is a nice certificate with signatures and the official gold stamp of the City of Independence that both of these folks are going to receive as a token of our appreciation for their service to our community. Thank you so much. Council members, we're going to move on to some of the activities that we have this evening. Our first thing this evening is we have to elect a council president. Now, historically, although there is no rule, historically that's been the senior council member, but it can be anyone. So if anybody would like to suggest a person to be council president.
I'd like to start with a nomination of Councilor Morton for council president.
Second.
Second that.
There's a second. Counselor, will you do that?
Absolutely.
Fine. Any objection? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Thank you very much. Congratulations, Counselor. Karen, is there anybody out there with public comment to make? There is no public comment to make. Okay, we're going to go to reports, which is 6.1, which is mayor, which is mine. And before we get into board and committee appointments, Councilor Roden had a statement she'd like to make. Councilor Roden.
Don't remember the statement I was supposed to make. What was it regarding?
You wanted to talk about a MINET appointment?
Oh, I was just wondering why the appointment was made before he was out of office. And I was just wondering why we couldn't have been the new counselors more of participating in that decision making. Because technically there was no vacancy until about 2 minutes ago, yet it's already been filled. We filled the citizen position, and then we put, can I call Tom? Is that what we call each other? Is that okay? Counselor Tom into that position. And I was just hopeful that in the future that maybe we could participate in those things too.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. Okay, folks, we have listed in the packet is reappointments to a number of different boards and commissions. These are all reappointments. None of these are new at this point. These are all reappointments, and I need to, we were informed this afternoon on the Traffic Safety Commission that Councilor Hines has decided he would not like to continue, so we'll take that off. But everybody else has indicated a willingness to continue.
Mayor, excuse me, that is former Councilor Hines, is that not?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
And just to clarify, these are all community appointments?
Yes.
Thank you.
This is an action item.
I would move to approve the board and commission appointments as submitted to the council.
Motion.
I'll second that.
Second.
With
the amendment of
yes,
right.
former Councilor Hines removal. Yes.
That's fine. Thank you. Have a motion. The second. Is there discussion? Hearing no discussion.
Excuse me, I just wondered if there was anybody else in the wings that is considering taking up some of these vacant positions.
We will be advertising those, and this is at this point. This is just reappointing the current positions, and there aren't actually very many at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Council liaison appointments. Now, to let folks know, the I'm pulling out my notes here so I make sure that I have everything. Counselor liaisons are designed to keep council informed of what's going on in the committee. They don't get to participate in committee discussions. They just get to listen. And they don't need to bring everything to us. They just need to give us an overview occasionally because there's a regular report schedule on a quarterly basis so that we just have a knowledge of what's going on. And so we try to not flood people. And at this point, Councilor Morton has the museum and the library. Councilor Martin Willis has planning and parks. Councilor Takis has Minette, historic preservation and traffic. I'm going to bet he would like to not have to do all three of those. I think there's an opportunity there. Councilor Kaur is handling the Regional Homeless Alliance as our representative to the to that. So that's not a liaison, but that was an appointment that was voted on by council.
I'm also on the Indy Days Commission.
Yes, I was going to say the Independence Days Commission. I also serve, just so that you don't think that I have my feet up, I serve on the board of the Council of Governments, the mayors and managers regular meeting. I serve on the LOC board as a past president, and I'm also on the governor's regional solutions for this area. So we also have a vacancy on WIMPEG, and we need somebody to serve on the WIMPEG board, which is the Western Independence Monmouth Public Education and Government Channel. And I know that that is trying to move forward with that. We also have the opportunity that, and I'm going to, Councilor Takis is pretty nice about this, but I bet he would like to give up either historic preservation or traffic. So he has some time in his life. And I know Kathy Martin Willis has said that if somebody else would like to do parks, that's possible. So Councilor Roden, would you like, I know that you've been involved with parks, and considering one is across the street, would you like to be our liaison on parks?
Before I answer that, I just want to make, when I spoke to the city manager, he said there might be opportunities during the day that other counselors might be at work, that I might be able to be of more of assistance to those. And I don't know exactly which of those meet during the day, but I have some more availability during the day if that helps anybody in those parts. So yes, I'll take up something. I just, if there's something I can help during the day, I'm available in the evenings too, but if that helps anybody.
Counselor, I mean,
is WIMPEG one of the ones that is a daytime meeting?
I know that they were talking about moving that one,
Right.
but I don't know what they have set. Mayor Kuntz, they were trying to figure that out. If you'd like to do a WIMPEG, that is a daytime, that at this point, that's a daytime one. And things can move we live in the land of reality of trying to make sure that that things work, because I know everybody here works at some, and just on different schedules.
What days do they meet currently?
I think it's been irregular. Do our city manager or recorder know which day that they've been meeting?
Mayor, isn't Jason a member of that committee?
Yeah, he's as a citizen representative. Jason, are you on?
Yes. We've regularly been meeting on Thursdays, but it hasn't been on a week-to-week schedule.
Okay.
So Thursdays every week?
No. Go ahead, Jason.
No, we've basically been meeting quarterly. We hope to ramp that up.
Well, if you need me to do it, I can do it. I would love to help with, if you need me in parks or in traffic, I can help there too. And of course I have experience on the historic commission. So wherever I'm needed, just put me there and I'll do it.
Okay. Councilor Jobe, do you have a preference for things?
Not really. And I mean, my schedule's pretty flexible as well, so.
Okay, so let's do this. let's put Councilor Roden on WinPeg. And let's do, so one of you, there's historic, there's parks, and there's traffic. And I'm thinking that it might be nice to not have to do something that you were sitting on. So how about Councilor Jobe, would you like to do Historic Commission?
Sure.
Okay. And then Councilor Roden, parks or traffic, which would you prefer?
Let's do traffic.
Traffic, okay. And Councilor Roden, can you do parks?
You just had me do traffic.
No, I'm sorry, I misspoke.
Okay.
My mistake. Councilor Jobe, parks for you?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Karen, you have that? I have it also on my sheet.
Mr. Mayor, I'd
Yes.
like to make a comment too. I think those are excellent appointments. I'm especially excited to see Councilor Roden be on the WIMPEG board, because that is an organization that has a lot of potential, and it has been foundering for several years, and it needs a strong hand.
Great, and it's a wonderful connection with our sister city, Monmouth, and with Western Oregon University. Okay, counselors, thank you very much for doing that. I'm going to keep us moving here. I'd like you to put on your calendars the annual Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments annual meeting. It's going to be a virtual meeting. That's going to be February 17th at 6 o'clock. We are a member of the Council of Governments, and we do a lot with them. And so you'll get it, but please put that on your calendar for a 1 hour, please. And if I can continue with my, and
At what time, Mr. Mayor?
6, you'll get additional information. And just, we know that people have lives. Not everybody can attend. This is an information and an awards thing. You'll find out there are 43 member governments in Marion, Polk, and Yamhill County. We work together on a number of things, and they provide some support resources for our staff. You'll get a whole presentation on that. There'll also be some awards for outstanding work in the region.
I'm seeing that as a tentative date for our joint council meeting with Monmouth. So I assume we'll be renegotiating that date.
Yeah, we don't have anything nailed down with them at this point. So anyway, please do that. I'm going to keep moving with my report, and I don't have a lot else I want to report on at this point. But as you've heard me speak about, been working on the Highway 2251 interchange, had very good meetings with Commissioner Lyle Mordhorst, and he's working with ODOT and helping on the technical side. I'm helping working with the other governments and trying to nail down some of the funding that is necessary for that. And towards that end, I had productive meetings with members of the U.S. Senate staff from Wyden's office and Merkley's office this last week, where we talked about the opportunities exist. As you may know, if you've read in the paper, there is an infrastructure bill that's working its way through Congress for roads and bridges around the United States. We are hopeful that we may be able to be part of that, or to get a hunk of that. This is a pretty major project. There are lots of folks very interested. Southwest Polk Rural Fire, they're the people that have to respond to most of those crashes that happen there, and they would love to make sure to have an overpass there. So just keeping you informed and letting you know that's moving forward. Mr. City Manager, I think the next activity is yours.
Sure. Just have a few items for my city manager report tonight. Just want to let you know that in early February, we are getting ready to have a council priority setting meeting. Looking forward to getting that done. That'll be building off the 2040 vision plan and then priorities that council has. So still working out the details. I have a facilitator that just waiting to get back to me on some information. And once we have that, we'll set up the dates and coordinate with you to make sure that those dates work with you. Looking probably at one fairly full day, really to dig into that and make sure that we understand the priorities of council so that we can fold that into our budget planning and our staff planning and just make sure that we have the resources available to accomplish what the priorities of council are. As you probably know, the river is rising. I think the good news is the river came down quite a bit last week after the previous rain event. So most of the flooding issues are in the creeks and some of the other rivers in the area. That water is coming mostly from the foothill areas and really not a whole lot of snow runoff at this point. We have had a few localized spots of high water, including Gun Club Road, which is currently underwater, which is normal for these type of events. We've placed some information on our website and Facebook for people to get information about. But currently the Willamette River, or the main stem of the Willamette, is only expected to get to the action stage, which is about 7 feet vertically below the flood stage. So as long as the weather improves as it's expected to later this week, it looks like the main Willamette isn't going to get higher than we're used to seeing this time of year. And just the last thing, talking about issues of things being increasing, we have seen increased police activity. That's not only here in Independence, but in the surrounding communities. There really isn't a specific reason. The police department's keeping an eye on it and the trends and activities, and certainly talking to other cities, but we have seen a significant amount of increased activity. And I just wanted to let you know that we're aware of that and we're keeping an eye on that. And if we see a trend or something, certainly we'll let you know. So with that, do you have any questions for me or my staff?
Questions for the manager?
I have a question. Tom, do you have an idea where we're at on COVID vaccinations with our first responders, in Independence and like the fire department, that sort of thing? Do you know where we're at with that? Is that going on?
Yeah, I do know for our police department in particular. So I really only know for the police department and the fire department. I can't really speak to, although I did talk with Ben Stange a couple days ago, and I know that they are getting that all organized and have had access to that, I believe. So if you want more information on the fire department, I can get that for you. But as far as our police department, it's been available. And so those that have wanted to take the vaccine can. There are state laws that prevent us from requiring it of law enforcement officers. And so that certainly isn't a requirement, but it has been readily available to any of our police department who wants to take the vaccine. And that includes the administrative staff too, because they definitely see the public as well.
Additional questions?
Yes, if the increased police activity continues for the next couple of council meeting periods, could we get the chief in to talk to us about the flavor of what's going on?
Yes, I'm glad to do that. I talked to him earlier, and since we don't really have it pinned down, there isn't a whole lot he can say. But that's kind of what I'm indicating is we'll keep an eye on it and then be able to give you a more detailed report as we learn more.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, we're going to continue moving forward. Mr. Pessimir, I think you have the next item also.
Yeah, and I'm going to have Gloria jump in here. My name got on this, but this is really kind of what Gloria put together, and I don't want to take credit for her hard work. So budget calendar and budget officer and stuff. If Gloria could jump in here.
Always see your name, but you're still muted, Gloria. There you go.
There we go.
Now we can see you. Good evening and welcome to
Here I am.
council.
Good evening. It's always a little bit of a chore to get on here. The budget calendar was included in the packet. And I realized as going through that and preparing for the meeting that the budget calendar is missing the budget orientation, our committee meeting, our committee members and new counselors. I usually do a orientation for them. And I usually do that around March. So once we have our slate of budget committee members, I generally schedule that in March. So I just wanted to give, especially our new counselors, a heads up for that coming up. I don't have that on the calendar yet, since I just realized that it was missing. I haven't had the opportunity to really go through the calendar yet, but I hope to have something for you the next meeting. So I'll give you an update, even if it's just a memo in the packet. And then if there's any problems with the dates, then we can work that out. So for the rest of this, we generally give you the council, the budget calendar, let you look that over. If it meets your approval, this meets all the requirements of budget law as far as posting the meetings and posting the required hearing notices. And then also this requires the council to appoint the budget officer. For the last, I believe, 8 years now, I've been acting in that role.
That's great. Questions for the staff? Okay.
Yes, I have a question.
do.
So does the training session have to be part of the official budget calendar?
No, it doesn't. It's an optional item. There's no requirement for anyone to attend that.
Okay, so then we can just add that later and it's not a big deal.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Right. Great. Okay, this is an action item. We're required to approve this, and so if I could suggest that somebody make the motion.
Yes, I move to approve the 2021-22 budget calendar and also to appoint our finance director as the budget officer.
Have a motion.
Second.
Second, is there a discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Hearing no opposition, motion passes. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And so I will encourage everybody to please put those dates in your calendar. They are important. Let's move forward to, well, Mr. Pestimer, your name is on a lot of stuff today. So the GNR auto wrecking renewal.
Yes, well, thank you, Mayor and Council. This is actually an item that typically would be administrative in nature and wouldn't come before council. It's not typical that for a renewal of an application like this, it would come before council. But for some reason, the DMV application and business certificate is very official in the fact that it needs a decision from the governing body and the official seal from the city on renewing their application. So if you're seeing something that you're kind of questioning, well, why are we even talking about this in council? It's because of the way the state put the form together. But essentially, this is just a renewal for a business. We have done our typical due diligence, which is talking to our planning department, making sure there aren't any issues, talking to the building department, making sure there aren't any issues, and then having the police kind of do a record search to make sure that there haven't been any outstanding items that have come up during the renewal or the previous period related to the renewal. And you can see that memorandum from Sergeant Headland in your packet if you have any questions. So anyway, from staff's perspective, there aren't any outstanding issues here. and we recommend that the renewal of the license is passed by council.
Questions for staff?
I have a question. I noticed that the application for the renewal isn't signed. Is it signed on the back and we just can't see it? Or is it supposed to be signed by him before?
Well, I'm looking at the application in the packet, and the item 7 and the signature is all for the government officials.
Right.
I don't see a place where actually they need to sign this form, but we will definitely make sure that the form is complete, and that if there are any signatures or anything required by them, that we obtain those before we sign off on it.
Okay, I just wasn't sure if section 6 was referring to the applicant's signature, if it was referring to the governance or the local governance signatures. And I didn't see where he would sign it, so I was confused on it. So that's why I was asking.
Yeah.
The joys of DMV forms.
Right.
Wait
Honestly-
till you see OLCC forms.
Yeah, I honestly, I had the same thought too. It's like, it seems like there should have been a signature and I didn't see it, but that's the way the form kind of is. So I'm not sure.
Okay. This is an action item, so if someone would,
Mr. Mayor, would you please give a brief explanation of why we do 3 different motions in one night?
well, this one isn't this isn't an ordinance. So this is just a resolution that we just have to approve. But sometimes when we have to do an ordinance, we can do 3 motions.
Okay. Do we have one coming up later in the agenda?
Yeah.
All right. I'm just jumping the gun. Sorry about that.
That's okay. It's a good question. So let's take care of this one first. If someone would like to move approval of the dismantler auto certificate for GNR Auto, that would be good.
I'll move to approve the renewal of the dismantler of motor vehicle certificate for GNR Auto Records.
Second.
Motion, and who is the second? Councilor Kaur. Motion second. Is there discussion? I hear no discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Hearing no opposition, motion carries. Thank you very much. Chief Mason, I think you have the amendments to the parking code. Good evening, Chief. And I see Fred Evander, our planner, is also logging in there. So, Chief Mason, to you.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and a special welcome to Councilors Job and Roden. Welcome tonight.
Thank you.
So tonight we are reviewing some proposed changes to our municipal code, section 32, which governs parking in the City of Independence. And because we have some new members tonight, I thought I should retrace the actions that brought us to this point. So dating back to 2018, the Traffic Safety Commission, which is a commission that reports to this council, has received parking complaints about things like large vehicles, RVs, utility type trailers, taking up available parking in some specific residential neighborhoods and our city parking lots. Back then, the City Traffic Safety Commission discussed the issues, and they did some research on parking code and looked for some potential improvements. We also looked at codes from other jurisdictions, and then the matter was brought to a council work session on November 26th, 2019. During that work session, the council helped prioritize the changes that were being considered. And in the end, the council helped determine that we should concentrate on our public parking lots first, which we did. And in December of 2019, this council passed an ordinance that changed this code and gave more restrictions in public parking lots. The council at that time also said that the Traffic Safety Commission should continue researching and looking for some solutions to the problems that have been forward, and also to get public input. And it was stressed to try to get more public input at that time. So the commission, and Councilor Roden, you'll learn this soon if you don't already know, but we only meet every other month. And sometimes we cancel those meetings, but generally we meet, and we don't always have a quorum. But we, during that time, have done more work to try to get more public input. And we ended up with our proposed changes, which we got out to the community through social media platforms, and tried to get those that had items that they wanted to bring forward to come to our Traffic Safety Commission. We had a specific commission meeting for that. So after that meeting, we finalized our draft and sent it off to the city attorney. And the city attorney had some suggestions also, and those were put in place. And so the final draft that you got was the version after everybody had an opportunity to kind of read through it and provide input. So I will apologize now, because the track changes version of this proposed ordinance that you see attached to the agenda is difficult to understand what is existing code and what was the first draft and the second draft and the third draft, because it changed all of those drafts and did strike out. And you'll probably notice there are more colors than I could even identify in the color hue to show all those different changes. So tonight, I would like to walk through the changes that are being proposed. And I created, and I'd like to share my screen, I created I just took this council ordinance, this proposed ordinance, and did some highlighting so we could see what's existing and what's being proposed for changes and walk through those. And as you heard earlier, Fred Evander, our city planner, is also on, and he had a lot of input in how to word these things and try to keep it consistent with other areas of code. If you haven't been watching the meetings, Fred is our code guy, and he's really been cleaning up a lot of different codes in the city. So I am going to.
Chief?
Yes.
Can you clarify for new counselors and viewers as well? There's a lot of confusion around town as to which of our lots are public lots, because some of those are sort of dual use lots. Could you clarify maybe some of those locations?
I could. So Riverview Park is a large parking lot that we classify as a public parking space. Mm-hmm. There is an area that is currently occupied by some construction material, but mostly, we'll say behind the old Elks Lodge, that is a public parking space. Mm-hmm. There is this facility here at Independence Civic Center. And I think we're gonna talk about this more as we go, but I think those three that I just mentioned, we're gonna have to talk about in some other parking considerations in the very near future, because we, looking forward, are gonna have parking issues in all three of those locations. We're certain when all of this housing that's going up down here becomes occupied. So, right. And then we manage, and the city manager may have to jump in here to what the actual status is, but the theater parking lot also we oversee, perhaps. How would you like to word that, Mr.?
Yeah, I would say that we have we don't oversee it. It's controlled by the theater, but we have rights to allow parking in the area, public parking in that area as we need to. And we also have a couple of spots back behind where Parallel 45 is that are also reserved for public parking, which aren't managed by the city, but are available.
And then the library, I would say, is the last of our public locations in the downtown area.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Absolutely.
Chief, I would add that we also have at the sports park, public parking there as well.
Certainly. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So the items highlighted yellow are existing code that's in place today. And I think it's a lot easier to see the changes that we're proposing. I have highlighted those as light blue, and we'll just walk through those changes a little at a time here. So the beginning of the code is all existing until we get to the definition of recreational vehicles. We did not have a definition of recreational vehicles previously. And Fred, you can verify this, but I think this language came right out of our planning code so that we're consistent in defining those things. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Thank you. And then as you continue down, the next change that we are looking at, the word officer there that I highlighted in sub B, it says police officer in our current code. And we wanted to change that so that code enforcement officers or cadet officers would have that same ability to provide exemptions to parking. Just kind of a cleanup there. And you'll see all of the rest of this as we're going through. This is all existing code language that's in place today. Till we get down to number 9 here, and that is in a properly marked bike lane, including such time as any vehicle. And we added, other than a school or public transit bus is used for the temporary loading or unloading of passengers or materials. And Fred actually gets credit for this one. He is our public transit guy, and he's really working to make transit available and accessible in our community, and thought that it was important that we call out that they can do that. Otherwise, it would be unlawful to block the bike lane for loading and unloading.
So in the packet on page 27 of 37, the areas that's crossed out in red, what was that referencing then? Was that a draft that never got in?
So it's probably like I tried to apologize for. Let me just look at it real quick because I did print it out here. Yes, so the language just got changed a couple of times there. So you saw some draft language, and that was the problem with the way this markup ended up in the packet. There was a draft language that we agreed on, and then when it went to the attorney, I believe they wanted to reword that a little bit. And so that's why I think there's a second strikeout. And a different color, again, of it's like a rewrite of a rewrite of a rewrite to land on what you see in front of you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And then continuing down, the next item that we have that's changed in there is number 15. And this one's a little bit interesting, so I'll just talk through it. It is currently number 16 in the existing code, and it says, within 30 feet of an official flashing beacon, stop sign, or traffic control sign located at the side of a roadway. That's our existing code. And I will both thank Traffic Safety Commission member Tim Hines for his service, and also for catching this, because when we were about to approve it, Tim said, well, I really think that that's being violated all over in downtown, that people park within 30 feet of stop signs. And it's because you guys have parking spaces that allow that. And so we actually held off on approving it that night, and we did some more research and found that Tim was absolutely right. And our downtown is really designed to have parking up close, and there are bulb outs so that the signs are visible. And that's when we analyzed what that area was really looking to do in the existing code. And really it's so that parked vehicles don't interfere with the ability of traffic to see signs, right? They don't want a parked car obstructing stop signs or otherwise obstructing visibility in intersections. So we were working on a way to rewrite that. And this proposed language that we have put in here is actually right out of the state of Oregon's motor vehicle code. So it really is already in effect here in the state of Oregon anyway, but we went ahead and put it in so that it's clearer for people. And you'll note that with this one, it says that it's only a problem if the standing or parking of the vehicle obstructs the view of any traffic control device located on the side of the roadway. So that's what that change was for.
So is that going to remove any parking spaces downtown? And are we going to be able to put up signs that would, if a vehicle is obstructing the area?
I don't believe it will remove any parking spaces downtown, because the downtown was designed to park in those places where we have parking spots. This would be more of a situation where you didn't have bulb outs and I'll say a very large vehicle parked within 50 feet of an intersection, and it caused you to not be able to see a road sign of some sort, like, well, a stop sign. Specifically, they're talking about stop signs, yield signs, and traffic control devices. So no, I don't believe it will take away any parking that we have now, unless the size of the vehicle is what the problem was. So it would be a very specific application.
And how is that warned to a citizen if they violate this? What does that mean for them?
If enforced on our municipal code, which is what this is within, it's a $20 ticket that would go on your car. If enforced through the state of Oregon Motor Vehicle Code, which this exact same language is also in, it would be a much more expensive citation that would could be issued to a person that is actually the driver of the vehicle or the owner of the vehicle, or just to the vehicle, as parking citations often are.
Chief, does generally your department is looking for compliance, and so isn't generally, you folks are not in the ticket business, you're in the compliance business, and usually it gets into somebody talking to somebody and says, hey, there's a problem, and everybody goes, yeah.
That is how we often start things, yes. We're currently working with the new residents on Osprey Lane to try to get compliance there. And we have a plan for how long we're going to do that before we start issuing citations because of some parking situations there as well. But yes, that's not to say, a vehicle parked that really blocked the view of a stop sign and it was dangerous wouldn't get action immediately, right? If we couldn't find the person and get compliance and the immediate removal of the obstruction. So.
Yeah, this is interesting. I probably shouldn't talk as much as I'm doing, but I was thinking Osprey Lane too. I'm not sure how we're ever going to get people to be able to park in their driveways without violating this ordinance that we're putting in front of them. And it seems interesting that we would design an area where they couldn't park in their driveway.
That is not unique to Osprey Lane. We have other neighborhoods in town where parking is very much a commodity because you can't easily park, especially a large vehicle, in your driveway without blocking sidewalks. And it's not only in new neighborhoods, it's in some of our old neighborhoods too, where we have those concerns and have really worked. Again, we've done a lot of we'll call it education to try to get people to not block sidewalks, because it really is dangerous to be blocking the pedestrian paths, forcing people either out into the roadway to walk or obstructing the ability to see. So, okay, so that was number 15. I'm gonna keep moving on down here. You'll see everything else is existing code all the way down to section C. And this is really where the biggest changes are coming, is in this section that we're gonna go through next. So in the beginning of section C, we're just calling out that in addition to everything else that's in section B above, that the following vehicles, trailers, or storage containers are not allowed to be parked on city streets. And we added any vehicle, trailer, and in the current code, the reason I left it yellow is because connected combination is in there already, and there are size restrictions. But that's part of our problem with the current code. So currently it says that a connected combination that is 23 feet long, or longer than 23 feet, I should say, or wider than 7 feet, that's our current code saying that you can't have that it's too large. But that term connected combination means that it has to have two things connected together. And oftentimes, the vehicles and trailers and items that are causing the concerns aren't connected to anything. They're standalone that big. And so this language makes it so that a vehicle all by itself, or a trailer all by itself, or a connected combination of those things. And we made the length and the width a little bit wider because we just felt like it was more reasonable. So it went to 24 feet and 8 feet for the length and the width. We changed it from current code there. Truthfully, I couldn't find an old version of this code where this was not the language, but I know that I've been working here for like 28 years and we cited cars that were oversized, vehicles that were oversized when I worked here in the early days. I don't know when the connected combination piece came in or if it was a scrivener's error in a rewrite or what, but it really doesn't make a lot of sense that it would only be connected combinations of oversized vehicles that we would have concerns with. So,
so Chief, are you saying that the trailer that is typically parked on Walnut, it doesn't have a cab attached to it, would now be not able to park there?
The trailer that is parked on Walnut.
It's kind of next to that piece of property that the city owns. I see it periodically.
That's correct.
And as you know, because we've talked about it on Marigold, oftentimes there are large vehicles and there are, 18-wheelers with the cab to trailer connected. So those would not be allowed either.
That's correct.
Okay.
And then continuing down, all of this language is existing.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Go ahead, Counselor.
I just wanted to clarify this. So you couldn't go and pick up your trailer from the storage and park it overnight in front of your house and then load up in the morning and go camping?
We're not quite there.
Not there? Okay.
Almost. We're really close. So the next one, number 2 there, any disconnected trailer. So that's saying like a utility trailer is a good example. The complaints that we got specifically, because we had some pictures, some of them were like equipment trailers that hold equipment. Some were like dump trailers that construction people probably use in their trade. Some were just utility trailers, like landscaper trailers and things like that. So that's any disconnected trailer. The next one, and that's the one that I think will be where you're going, any recreational vehicle except for loading and unloading. And so we wanted to give the ability for people to load and unload their trailer at their home. And that's reasonable. I will say in our first, who knows if it was the first, in one of the versions of our rewrites, we had a specific amount of time that we were going to allow that for. And the attorney that reviewed it urged us to not do that because they're dealing in other communities with people just moving about with RVs in their community for that amount of time. And they're trying to find solutions to that problem and thought, why would you create yourself that same problem? So we just put the words loading and unloading and didn't say for a specific amount of time, thinking that we could then enforce it with reasonableness.
Chief, during the wildfires, you relaxed a lot of the parking restrictions. Is any of this cause a problem with that, or have you already put those rules back into effect?
This wouldn't cause a problem because the city manager actually had and still has the authority to make those exceptions in an emergency, which we're still in. But absolutely outside of an emergency, this would have made those exceptions needed. We would have needed the city manager to allow people to live in RVs on the street, which we were allowing during the fires for evacuees.
Thank you.
Yes. And then those last two, storage containers without first receiving a city issued permit for a specific limited duration, and solid waste receptacles without first receiving a city permit for a specific limited duration. Those two are, again, those are from Mr. Evander, and they are for dumpsters and like storage containers, kind of thinking like a pod storage container. Maybe someone's getting ready to move and they need to put a pod on the street because they don't have anywhere else on the property to load that pod. So that's what those two were.
And where does somebody get that permit?
From City Hall. We actually haven't put it in place, but we have a draft permit waiting for this code to get finalized.
Okay, so quick question. When every 5 years or so, we get the great big dumpster and we start with the shed out back and go through the house and the garage, I will have to get a permit before I get my dumpster from Brant's delivered?
Is it going to go on the city street?
Yes, because my driveway would not accommodate a construction-sized dumpster without blocking the sidewalk.
Then the answer would be yes, if you pass this code.
Do you have a sense yet of what that permit's going to cost, Chief?
I do not. And I'm not even sure we can charge for it until we come back to you with a fee schedule request, because you approve all fees.
Right.
So immediately, probably they'll be free until we come to you and say, hey, we want to charge for these.
Yeah, whatever it would be minimal for processing. There certainly wouldn't be hardly any staff work in order to process a permit like that. So the fees would not be significant.
And I know we have issues in the downtown with this now, with ongoing construction things, and Public Works often has to go out and look at the site that they want to put the dumpster and approve that before they allow them to do it. So it's kind of it's happening in some applications now when we can catch it, but this would try to make it, and we would probably reach out to Brant's and say, hey, people need to have a permit before you can drop a dumpster at their place, and have them help with that process, so that we're not putting one of those dumpsters in a location that is going to cause a safety concern.
Are there additional questions for staff?
I have a question.
Please, Councilor Job.
So I guess the language is a little confusing to me. It says on number 1, any vehicles, trailers, or a connected combination thereof on a street at any time within the city if the length is longer than 24 feet or the width is wider than 8 feet, except, and then it goes on, but then number 2 says any disconnected trailer. So number 1 sounds like as long as it's smaller than 24 feet, but then number 2 says any disconnected trailer.
Yes. So the reason for number 2 specifically is to keep people from leaving utility trailers in neighborhoods where parking is a premium, especially. That's the most, I mean, honestly, the complaints generally come from neighborhoods where parking is a problem. There just isn't enough parking. And someone leaves a trailer on the street. So that's why we have put number 2, any disconnected trailer there, so that you would have to leave that trailer on your own property or somewhere else, not on the public street. The above one, I think it's just the, it was our original attempt to fix the language so that it wasn't only a connected combination. It was also a truck that is really big, like say a big flatbed delivery truck. You couldn't park that on the city street if it was longer than 24 feet. Or wider than 8 feet.
But Chief, if the landscape trailer is connected to your truck, they fall under paragraph 1?
Yes.
Okay.
So it would have to be less than 24 feet connected.
Got it.
But if my trailer is less than 24 feet by itself, it can't be there by itself. It has to be connected to a truck, but then that makes it too long.
It wouldn't in all cases, but yes, in most cases it would. If you have a sizable trailer and a sizable truck, it doesn't take much to get to 24 feet.
Right. Okay. And so, okay.
And how many complaints have we received? Do we have a number?
No, I don't have a number. I can say they've been consistent pre-COVID. Honestly, since COVID restrictions went into place, we don't get the same number of complaints that we used to get. But for a while at Traffic Safety, it was probably the most frequent complaint was parking related matters.
And was it by the same people, or are you talking about complaints by a whole bunch of people?
Yeah, it was from different people. And it was also, some of them came through the members of that commission, and kind of as like you would do in your role as a counselor, talking to your neighbors and bringing that information. They were also bringing information in from their neighborhoods. And I will say that a lot of the complaints, I feel like, were neighborhood specific. So if you live in a neighborhood, and Councilor Martin Willis, you likely live in a neighborhood where putting that dumpster there doesn't affect anybody negatively because they don't.
Well, I'm
normally
on
park there.
South 7th Street in the older portions. Our roads are a little narrower. They don't like the double-sided parking in our area, but we're old houses with single car driveways. I mean,
Yeah, there are definitely neighborhoods, especially over off of Gun Club Road, where parking is just a continual problem.
Yeah.
And has been really
30 years.
since they got built. So,
Are there additional questions for any of the staff people?
So Councilor Roden, I just want to make sure that your question that you asked earlier got answered for you.
Well, I'm just concerned because I just don't know I have enough information to judge this right now, because I don't want to hurt the average citizen with loading and unloading their trailer. And I don't want to hurt someone who could potentially already be struggling with their landscaping business if they park their trailer in a certain spot. But when Chief Mason talked about, the 48-hour window, that made a lot of sense on why, we don't want to leave this open. But at the same time, I'm wondering how many complaints do we have, and is this necessary to really put these type of restrictions on right now? And is this a problem that's going to help a few, but then hurt a lot more because they are now restricted in their trailers? And I just don't know the answer to that. So I would love to have more information, I feel, before we change this, but that's just my take on it. What do the other counselors think?
So Councilor Roden, would you like to have a chance to have, since you've gotten the presentation this evening, would you like to have more time to frankly noodle on it and maybe visit with Chief offline and ask him additional questions? We have no railroad here. We don't have to do anything tonight. And if people want to take more time to chew on this, talk about it, that's not a problem.
Well, since I'm now on the Traffic Safety Commission, I would love to learn more about this and really dive into the complaints and to see where we're actually going to be. I just want to make sure we're balancing the new restrictions to what's best overall. But I understand the need for parking, and so I'm on this. Maybe this is great, and maybe it could be tweaked, and so that's where I'm at.
Chief, didn't you say that the Traffic Safety Commission reviewed these recommendations, spoke to the public, and then made recommendations on what should be changed?
that's correct. But I'll put a caveat on that. We didn't get a lot of feedback.
Yeah, I expected that, but yeah.
Yes, we absolutely did. We even tried to word it kind of controversially to try to get people to react. That didn't. We got some feedback, but we didn't get a lot, and none of it that really.
I understand the concerns about people's businesses. I know there's a landscape business on the south side of 4th Street that I've almost run into that trailer a couple of times in the dark because it's right on the corner. But at the same time, you're trying to save people's lives too, and livelihood is important, but lives are important more so. So I understand what you're trying to do here. We're trying to make sure people are safe.
That's a good point. And I'm wondering if Councilor Coor, if we could implement our 30-foot restrictions now on that corner you're talking about and still take a little bit of time to digest this and provide that safety Councilor Coor is talking about by using the existing code we have with the 30 feet restriction. I mean, if there's a trailer blocking it and it's dangerous, we can use the resources we have now and then come back and look at this to see do we really not want to have some of these things?
I think it added to the public input, Chief. I mean, you've got officers all over town who observe. You know, they see something that looks possibly unsafe. So I think that's an important input to this process as well. I mean, yeah, we all hear people complain. I live in a brand new development. We're already starting to have parking problems because, you know, everybody has multiple cars. And, you know, before you know it, somebody's going to have a business and there's going to be a trailer. So I think it's really important to note the police officer input into this process as well.
So let me suggest something if it's okay. Why don't we take and hold this over to a future meeting? Let's let some people look around and feel more comfortable and, you know, drive around town a little bit and take a look. I know that as I was out during this fall, I have heard people talk about trucks and parking from both directions. So if there are no objections, would people be okay if we carried this over to a future date so people can get some additional, so they can get some questions answered and think about this a little bit? Does that sound okay with folks?
I think it would be helpful.
I think it's a good idea too. When is the next Traffic Safety Commission meeting?
It's in February.
Why don't we delay decision on this until at least after that Traffic Safety Commission meeting, so all these things can be brought out in that organization as well.
February 17th is the date of the next meeting.
So when appropriate, we'll put it back on the agenda. Without objection? Okay, that's what we'll do. Thanks, Chief. I really appreciated the detail. I think that was helpful. I appreciate people taking a good look at this because I think the issues that people brought up, both of safety, sidewalks, length, but also the sensitivity to people's businesses and what options some people are going to have to park their vehicle and where do they go. I think that those are all issues. So moving forward, this is a time for council announcements. Does anybody have general announcements that they need to make?
I'd like to bring up a possibility. Has there been any discussion about resuming in-person meetings of this council with plexiglass guards between or plenty of social distancing?
Mr. Pessimir, would you like to respond to that, please?
Yeah, I mean, as I've been watching the city manager listserv and watching what other cities are doing, we're actually seeing a lot of the cities that were trying to do in-person meetings going to virtual meetings. With the current set of restrictions online and us being, you know, over twice what the extreme category is, and the numbers that are limited to, unless we were to do something outside, I don't think that we would actually be able to find any sort of facility that the city has or could get, other than maybe at the fairgrounds, but we can't have meetings at the fairgrounds, that would actually allow us to meet all of the different requirements that the state has in place. So, but I think that, you know, as time goes on, you know, things will change. And I guess what I hear you saying is as soon as we can find a way to fit inside the rules and get back in the same room, that would be something you would like to do. Is that a fair statement?
That's a very fair statement. And I just think discussions like the one we just had have a lot more depth and flavor to them when we can be eye to eye with each other.
Great. Additional announcements? Okay. Well, we made it through our first meeting and things are well. So if somebody would like to move for adjournment, we can go home and people can eat dinner.
Move to adjourn.
Okay.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And opposed. Motion carries. Have a pleasant evening, folks.
Night all.